How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and this is my 2000 Yamaha Warrior 350. Please let me know in the comments below or by liking the video or even subscribing that if you like the content that I am making and you want to be filled in on more content that I am doing, please let me know by doing so. If you are new to the channel, welcome. This is my Warrior 350. I completely rebuilt this thing last year. It was a frame-off resto mod, if you will. I did an entire engine build. Go back and watch those videos so you can get caught up to speed. It has its stage 2 hot cam, high compression piston, the works. I tore this thing down to the bare frame, and in all honesty, I'm happy with it. This year I took this thing on a 3-day hiatus to Windrock here in Tennessee, to Ride Roll Blue here in Tennessee, and to 5313 Off-Road Park there in Calhoun, Georgia. And I can honestly say I had an absolute blast with this thing. But that being said, I do believe that there are some areas where I can still improve on. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire quads per se. I'm not going to get longer A-arms for it. I'm just not going to do some things. But I am going to improve on what I have here. Now, again, this has been a total restoration or resto mod, if you will, on this Warrior. And riding it those last 3 days got me thinking that there are definitely some things that I can improve on this. That being said, I have a four-wheeling trip coming up here in the next couple weeks with Zach. If y'all are interested, I just did a build series on his 2006 Yamaha YFZ 450. Gotta say, I absolutely love that four-wheeler, but we have some riding ahead of us. So I need to get this thing back up to snuff with some added parts, if you will, and just doing maintenance and stuff on it. But let's get into the boxes that I have to show you. If y'all are interested in that build series on his YFZ 450, please go check out the video playlist on that thing. It really did turn out really nice. So getting into it, I obviously used and abused that quad throughout last year on those 3 days that I rode it, and I gotta say a bunch of things held up, but quite a few things didn't. Figured it was time to replace the things that didn't hold up and get some aftermarket goodies for it. So we're gonna get right into the little packages and move on up. I have some chain rollers here. And so I wind up losing one, which is unfortunate, but these were only like 10 bucks, so it was worth it for me to get two. So if you tuned into the Warrior series, I obviously bought aftermarket wheels and tires for it. And out while riding, I wind up losing two of my Raceline hubcaps. These aren't a need by any means. However, I do like my stuff to be more or less on the nicer side, even though it's only a Warrior 350. But I did wind up getting new hubcaps, and I'm going to keep in mind when I go riding at Ride Roll Blue, I will be removing these just so I don't lose these again. This is a starter relay. In the aftermarket harness that I wind up buying, it come with a starter relay, and mine wind up quitting on me. So I had to keep starting it off with a screwdriver. Don't want to do that anymore, so this is a need. So this is a need as well. I noticed once I got to 5313 Off-Road Park that my chain wouldn't stay tight, and I wind up stripping out one of the bolts for the rear carrier. So these ones are specifically for a Yamaha Blaster, but to the best of my knowledge, the Yamaha Blaster, Banshee, and Warrior all use kind of the same tightening hardware. So I'm gonna see if these work, at least for that one that is stripped out. So these are more or less a want than a need. These are headlights, and I'm gonna show you guys before I install these new ones. But those aftermarket headlights that I wound up buying specifically for the Warrior, one of them is already burnt out, not even a year later, and I do like to do a little bit of night riding, so I wind up getting these. And these have a high and a low beam. The low beam is the X pattern, And I'm hoping I'm gonna get better longevity out of these ones. I gotta modify it just a little bit, but hopefully these will turn out much better and brighter, because those other ones were just absolute crap. You couldn't see worth damn in those things. Okay, so in this tube is actually a graphics kit. It's the same graphics kit that is already on my Warrior. The reason being why I got this graphics kit again, number one, I like the graphics that are on there. Number two, I really botched the ones that I put on there. So I just want to freshen up and make those graphics look really nice while they sit on there. So all the ones that are destroyed, I am going to replace them with these. I've gotten quite a bit better at putting graphics on, so just really wanting to make that thing look every bit of presentable as the motor is stout for a Warrior 350. Here we have a Mass FX tire. Actually my first trail out at Windrock, which was the first place that I went, I wound up blowing out the sidewall on a very sharp rock on my back left tire. Don't want to chance it, so I got a new tire. Y'all are gonna have fun watching me struggle put this damn thing on. In the box that I'm absolutely most excited about, obviously you can tell it's from Alba. I have an Alba rear grab bar, an Alba front bumper, but one thing I kept noticing is my feet slipping off the pegs. And my foot would wind up almost going to the ground. So I picked up a brand new set of Alba Nerf bars. Ooh, hardware, great. Look at these. Oh, I'm excited. Alba does a really nice job of labeling which side is which. Also came with blue Nerf nets and a set of red. Now, I don't have anything red, but I'm gonna save these for the future because who knows. My little pile of parts. Warrior's excited. Let's get this thing in here and start fixing her and making her more gooder. Let's start off with something stupid simple, this little roller. So it goes here. It obviously just fell off. It's supposed to go like that. I'm gonna throw a bolt and a washer on there. Chain roller installed. Here by the rear axle is the bottom bolt that is stripped out. I'm gonna see how I'm trying to tighten and it's just not getting tight at all. So we are going to replace that bolt. Hopefully this nut comes off this side. Well, crap. Ridiculous. Alright, so bolt is unfortunately just a little bit longer, but we can definitely take care of that. Now with the bolts the exact same length, put this one in the hole. I'm going to use same washers that came off. There's nothing wrong with the washers, of course, just now we have the correct length bolt and the correct size bolt. All squared away, nice and tight, got the chain adjusted. So now we're going to move on to that starter relay down there. And the factory location is right there. I just took the boot off of it just so I could get at it a little easier. But if we come over here to the key, turn it on, it's in neutral. Cutoff switch is on. Nothing. Okay. There's two. Alright. Back where it belongs, that's all I want. That's so hard to ask. I'll give her a test right here. Oh, okay. Well, I just figured out the no start issue, and looking at the issue, I should have saw it, but come over here, keys on, neutral lights on, and when I was hitting the button, nothing was happening. And I made sure that the switch over here was indeed turned on. So I started digging into wires. So you have your main harness coming from your kill switch. Your red is your constant power, and this red and white is your signal. On my phone here, and I know it's hard to see, but red and white goes to this little switch, which that is the starting circuit cutoff relay. Okay, where would there be two relays in close proximity to each other on a Warrior 350? That would be this location, right next to the starter solenoid. So as you can see, this one is broke and this one is not. So I swapped the connectors just to give it a shot. And with the key on and the neutral switch on, it works. That's good, but I'm still going to get that busted relay and change it out for a new one. So that crisis is averted. Let's move on to the headlights. Disconnect the headlights. Just want to show you guys what's going on with them. So these are bought brand new. There's the low beam. So the low beam on this one's already burnt out, and the high beam works, but they're dull as hell. I mean, they're producing just about nothing. They're off now. Well, the one low beam is on and the high beam is on. So they're doing absolutely nothing. They look bright on camera, but they're not. Also, I've been getting at these headlights here and have to do some modification, but that kind of comes to the territory as far as custom stuff goes. So here are my old headlights. These are LED and they are crap. They are not bright at all. So use these being like a factory type LED headlight. They use the factory bushings that come on the factory mount for the headlight. Which, this is the bracket, the mount, so I had to make these ones fit. So if I was to use this one, obviously the mount right here does not quite fit. So I had to shave a little bit off, and then once you get it down far enough, you can see right here, doesn't quite make the hole all the way. So on the bracket, I had to shave a little bit off, and I made it so you can still use the factory stuff if you wanted to swap back. However, this is going to be much brighter, and I just made it so it will indeed bolt up no problem. I've already cut the connector off, so these are going to work just fine, and I have already tested them out, and I've got to say, super impressed so far. Time will tell as far as how those are going to work, but I can already tell they are already much brighter. So I'm going to get this all wired up real quick and bring you guys in for the install. So there you have it, new headlights installed. So it's not as congested up here. It's a little congested. I wish I could tuck these wires back, but that looks fine from the driver's seat. You barely notice them. So, but a lot of space up here. But what I was going for was a factory look. So I really enjoy the bug headlights on the Warrior. Just a neat little quirk, but I feel like these fit the bill, and they're going to be super bright. Speaking of super bright, it's dark outside, so let's see how these things perform. Warrior right here, and it's pitch black over there. See how these low beams work? Okay. Lights up a little bit. Let me close the shed doors so we can get the full effect here. Not too terrible, just about as much as the old high beams used to be. So, and let's see the high beams. Oh, much better. Oh, that's so much better. This is low beam. Not a whole much to see. High beam. Oh man, that looks so much better, and you can actually see. Let's get this thing back in the shed. Alright y'all, now that the lights are figured out and it is a brand new day, before I have to run off and go do some things real quick, let's get the Nerf bars mounted, because it's kind of the thing I'm most excited about today. So here we have the Alba Nerf bars for the Warrior 350. Here's all the hardware it comes with. Here's one Nerf bar. I've got to lace up the other Nerf bar, which is on the other side of the Warrior. And here are the instructions. So you can freeze frame and read through this if you will. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, what's going to happen is we're going to remove this engine mount bolt and replace it with this new engine mount bolt. And it's going to kind of look something like this. So your engine and your engine mounts will go in between these two spacers. These two spacers will be on the outside of the mount itself, so on this black. And then you're going to put the mount for the Nerf bar on the outside of that. So it's going to look very similar to this. And then once you have these mounted, you're going to be able to slide the Nerf bar over this little mounting bracket. And then you take two of these little bolts, and they're going to go in the rear of the Nerf bar and hook or bolt into the foot peg. And before we do all of that, I gotta get that Nerf bar laced up, so I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. It does explain it in the instructions here. Basically, you're gonna go through two holes and then back up through one, and yeah, it's gonna look just like that. So we have our new, this would be the right side Nerf bar, and then we have our nets. And basically what I'm gonna do, I can put it up in the camera here for you. There are three holes on the mounting tab. Now you're gonna take your Nerf bar and go down through the top hole, through the bottom. Let's see if I can do this at a better angle. You're going to snake it through the bottom, and then you're going to go through the second hole. And what's going to happen when you do that is that when you are stepping on the Nerf net, it's putting all the weight on this strap. So let's go ahead and get this thing laced up real quick in a time lapse, and we'll come back to it. Alright, so the very back one, this one's a little different than all the rest. So basically you're going to go down through the furthest hole towards the back, and then up through the second hole, and that will keep that tension. So all laced up, good to go. I'm gonna just tighten these real quick so they're going to be nice and neat and relatively symmetrical. There, nice and tight. Let's get these things mounted. Alright y'all, so I got the other side just snugged up the bolts and stuff like that, but look at this. So right here in the directions, this very last picture, the mount goes, oh, let me get my fat finger out of the way. The mount goes in front of the foot peg. But I also noticed that installation of Raptor 350. So virtually and realistically, the Raptor and the Warrior are very much the same as far as the 350s go, but there are slight little differences, notably the plastics, the cable routing for the clutch. What I did not take into consideration was the nerf bars. So looking at the left side nerf bar, you can kind of see that this nerf bar is kind of kicked out like that. Well, I figured, and since this one was kind of a bear to get on, I had to use a clamp, that I would mount it behind the foot peg on this side. And that is very much, and I know I'm not giving it justice, but that is very much less strain on those front posts. So I'm going to take these two bolts back off and mount them to the back side of the foot peg, and that's going to take care of that issue. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. These are all nice and snug, and go ahead and snug up or tighten that bolt down here for the front brackets and the motor mount. Alright y'all, now that the nerf bars are on and the Warrior's looking just a little more snazzier than usual, now we get to dive into one of my most favorite activities, tires. I'm not the biggest fan of tires, primarily because I do it in a pretty primitive way. There are definitely easier ways of going about this now. You can send your tires to a tire shop, you can go to Harbor Freight and buy the little easy press. Those work great. However, I am cheap, and if I can do it myself, I'm going to. So out of scrap metal, I made my very own slide hammer, and it's just going to help me break the bead, and I'm going to use a pry bar to get this nightmare apart. So yeah, you guys can maybe take a trip down memory lane if you've done this sort of removing tires from wheels. What you're gonna want to do is you want to throw your back out, lifting your bead breaker or slide hammer, if you will, and you want to put it right on the edge of the tire and the wheel. Also, drain the air out of the tire. You're going to want to remove the valve stem. Once you do that, then you can get to just beat the crap out of this tire. And what you're trying to do is unseat the bead. Now you may want to get on top of the tire. And granted, this is the absolute cheapest way for me to do this, just because I made this and I got the scrap metal for free. This will help to lubricate the bead, just so it kind of slides off just a little easier. Peel the tire back and make sure you're getting it right on the bead. Granted, you don't want to do this with nice wheels, but again, I'm cheap. Finally got it broken. I just walk all the way around it to get it completely unseated. Unfortunately, you have to do this to both sides. Again, don't do this with nice wheels. Take it to a tire shop. Here we go. Now that both beads are broken and I'm out of breath, we're gonna take this tire off. So, you're gonna wanna get you some soapy water or anything as far as lubricating qualities go so you can get this baby off. And on these wheels, you can only remove the tire from one side. Remove from tire, and of course, again, this is the most primitive way of changing tires. And again, you don't want nice wheels to do this. It's just a way to show you guys that if you absolutely need to, you can do it this way. Just keep in mind not to scar up the face of the wheel itself where the bead sits and rides. That is the most important thing, or you're going to continue to have air leaks. The reason why I am changing these tires is that little fun spot right there. That is 4 tire plugs into the sidewall. And unfortunately, my first ride out with the Warrior, I hit a very sharp rock up at Windrock and sliced a hole right in the sidewall. So that tire is done. There we go. Alright y'all, it's just another day. So that Milwaukee air compressor didn't have enough output in order to get the bead seated on the tire, so I just took it to work and got it all nice and seated up. Brand new tread. Not that the other tire didn't have brand new tread, but brand new tire with no holes in it now. I also bought a brand new relay to replace that busted broken one. So here it is out of the package, and it even has the little rubber stay to keep it nice and neat where it needs to be instead of a zip tie. So win on that aspect. I'm going to go ahead and throw this tire on and get that relay swapped out. Then we're moving on to the final things, which are graphics and jetting. So let's get right into it. Also can't forget the new hubcaps. Nice and tidy. Nothing loose or is going to wiggle or chafe against the frame, so that's all good to go. Look at that, y'all. I know it's the same graphics kit that I put on there once upon a time, but this one came out a lot better. It definitely took more time this time around to do it right. I've been picking up little tricks here and there. Of course, the graphics and the plastics are not perfect, but this looks 10 times better than what was on there. There used to be a lot of bubbles and a lot of wrinkles. I really rushed it. Now there are still a couple bubbles, and there are like, I didn't replace this graphic right here or this graphic over here on this side. Number one, because my hour meter is on there and I don't want to disconnect that. But that being said, I could not, I didn't replace these two graphics because this one would look all right aside from a couple bubbles right here. But my primary ones were the fenders. These ones were really botched up. Now those are nice and slick. A few bubbles here and there, but nothing to where they were once before. This one's looking great. On the front plastics, I always manage to screw up right here. So I cut this section out, and you can see kind of right there where it started to screw up. So I cut that section out and I just put a factory EFX sticker there. I think that cleans it up quite a bit better. And then on the rear, I was able to get the lines mostly lined up, and the graphics kind of where they're supposed to be. And if you know about these factory FX graphics, they really, you kind of gotta tailor them to your plastics. So like the first time I installed these, I had this one way out here at the edge of the fender, and then you had a whole strip of blue that was showing from the plastics underneath. But now I just had them all tucked in, and now the blue strip is on the outside, so I feel like that makes a lot more sense. But so much cleaner, hardly any bubbles down here. Of course, the decal for like the no riders under 16, you kind of gotta heat that up and play with it. But there will be just a little bit of air trapped in there. You can take a knife and just slice that and kind of piece it back together. That's no problem. But a whole lot less bubbles. Got just a little one right there. This side came out really good. I did it over here on the other side, front fender as well, and you can see right here it's kind of bubbled up, and right here I kind of messed up, but the white kind of hides that. The black really shows it, but this is minor compared to what it was. And then here on the black, or on the back, I'm sorry, but this thing is looking pretty great. I'm really liking it. But now for the final thing is to get this thing running 100%. So a lot of you, or a couple of you I should say, mentioned in some of my riding videos that you noticed it was running a little bit lean, and it is. So we got to get this thing properly jetted for the trip with Zach on his YFZ up to Ride Royal Blue. So let's get in the garage, or the shed rather, and get this thing all jetted up. Also, regarding jetting, of course, stock jets, you're looking at a 42.5 Pilot with a 145 main and 2.5 turns out on the fuel air mixture screw. HMF recommends that for the main jet, you bump it up to a 152. Now on the forums, there are a bunch of guys saying that 152 is just a little too fat, and just replacing the exhaust with a slip-on exhaust. In my case, I ported my head on the engine, and I also have a modified airbox lid as well. So what that's kind of created, I'm currently running a 145 Pilot and a 150, or I'm sorry, I'm running a 45 Pilot and a 150 main, and it still seems to run a little bit lean even with 2.5 turns out on the fuel air mixture screw. So I also have to pull the choke out in order to start, which means in my the way I'm thinking about it is if I have to pull the choke in order to get it to start, it's not getting the fuel that it needs. So basically you choke off the air in order to get more fuel into the combustion chamber. So where your Pilot is your starting and idling jet, I am going to bump that up to a 47.5 Pilot. Now that might be a little rich. We can adjust the fuel air mixture with the fuel air mixture screw. Right now, again, I'm going to have it turned out 2.5 turns. And then for the main jet, I am going to bump it up from a 150 probably to the 152, but I'm also going to see what other jets I have here that might match my fuel air mixture just a little bit better. Running 92 octane. That way, because I am running a slightly higher compression. It's a little warm now. Did some more tuning to the carburetor. It was running a little more rich than I would have liked, but rich is better than lean, so I guess we'll just see how it runs for the most part. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's idling at 1800, 1850 RPM, so. Oh, now that it's a little light out, you guys can finally see the X pattern on the low beam. That, y'all, I appreciate you sticking around towards the end, but I do believe the Warrior is finally done and more or less exactly the way that I want it. Yeah, I could do some more things to it, like widen the front end to match the back, upgrade the suspension, stuff like that, but in all actuality, it's just a little Warrior 350 that I've spent a boatload of money on. If you tuned into the build sheet on this Warrior, go ahead, check it out, let me know what you think. I got about $5,500 wrapped up into this thing, so damn it, it better be exactly the way I want it. So the Warrior is ready to go to Ride Roll Blue with Zach and his YFZ. Might play with the jets just a little bit more behind the scenes, but other than that, she's running just as good as she's gonna. So I don't know if I plan on hanging on to this thing forever. I'm actually kind of looking to trade it for something else, maybe a new addition to the channel, maybe hanging on to it for Presley and the other little one on the way, but you know, time will tell. Not looking to sell it. Number one, I just wouldn't get the amount of money I would if I tried to sell it, so or at least the amount that I would want for it, or what I have into it. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll have some riding content here shortly, but I do appreciate y'all for sticking around. Let me know if you like the content that I do by hitting the like button or consider subscribing. It does help me out quite a bit. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one.